your seatbelt. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Chrissie is hilarious.
Chrissie, have you ever heard of the comedian Basha K. Ali?
No, that sounds like something you yell out before you blow up a plane.
30 seconds remaining.
But you know what, good you say I dabbled in stand-up or something. I haven't disrespected you at all.
I was very confused by the title, Everything Everywhere All at Once, because that's also what we call it when Ash takes off his shirt.
I shouldn't be up here. I should be in school on the other side of the ocean.
Oh, what's up, guys? I just saw Wes Anderson's Asteroid City last night, and I don't often do movie reviews. I don't really consider myself a movie review person, but I felt like I had to come on here and talk about this movie because I think overall, if I were to sum it up in 3 words, I would say it was a big, beautiful flop. It was, and I like Wes Anderson. Frank really likes Wes Anderson. I was excited to see this film. I have really liked other Wes Anderson films in the past. I liked the one about the Fox family, the stop animation. I really liked The Isle of Dogs. Anything that has to do with animals, I'm going to be on board to watch. I have really liked a lot of his other films. Let me make sure my mic settings are okay. Before I launch into this, okay, it's good. It's good. I wanted to like this so bad, but I was falling asleep, and I downed a cup of coffee before we went to the 9:50 showing of this movie. So I didn't go into it sleepy, but I just found myself so bored. And let's pull up a little bit of a description for here. Here we go. Asteroid City. It's a 2023 American science fiction comedy drama film. I didn't really experience comedy or science. Directed and co-produced by Wes Anderson, from a screenplay by Anderson and a story by Anderson and Roman Coppola. The film features really an all-star cast, and that's honestly part of the reason why I wanted to see it. I was like, wow, everybody's in this movie. Jason Schwartzman, Scarlett Johansson, Tom Hanks, Jeffrey Wright, Tilda Swinton, Bryan Cranston, Edward Norton, Adrian Brody, Liev Schreiber, Hope Davis, Steve Park, Rupert Friend, Maya Hawke, Steve Carell, Matt Dillon, Hong Chow. I don't know who a lot of these people are. Willem Dafoe, everyone knows him. Margot Robbie, Jeff Goldblum. I guess it takes place they're calling it a retro-futuristic version of 1955. It's supposed to take place in Arizona. Now, it's interesting because this film was first announced in September of 2020. They filmed it between August and October of 2021 during all the COVID bullshit. I mean, it kind of makes sense because I felt like we were 6 feet away from a plot the entire movie. I wanted to care about it. And people are like, oh, what's Wes Anderson? If you're looking for a plot, you've come to the wrong place. Oh, if you want a plot, you don't appreciate Wes Anderson. He doesn't give you a lot of plot. Blah. I felt myself just not knowing what to care about the whole time. So, I mean, I'll read the description of the plot. I don't know if I saw much of it. Let's take this out of Wikipedia. It focuses around this youth astronomy convention in a fictional desert town called Asteroid City. So it's take place in and around Arizona. And of course, it goes without saying, the visuals are so strong. The visuals are classic Wes Anderson. That's why people go, is to see these visuals. But I think he relied too heavily on the visuals. That was the most interesting part of it. And I feel like it's become almost a parody of itself. It's almost like cartoonish. And I'm seeing a lot of reviews going, "Oh, you don't understand it. If you don't understand it, it's because you don't, you're not smart enough. It's so artsy." Uh, I'm just going back and forth between some of my notes here. We're watching so it's a play. We're watching the actors of a play in these kind of in between moments of their lives, but I don't feel like we actually fully see them. I felt like it was confusing. I didn't really feel like there was any real plot. But I feel like Wes Anderson gets away with it because he's Wes Anderson, and it's because it's this all-star cast. I mean, I want to hear from people in the cast. Like, do any of them know what was going on? Let's talk to Scarlett Johansson and be like, what the fuck did you feel like happened in this movie? Because I don't know. I want to pull up. You guys all know that the classic Wes Anderson visuals. Everything looks like it's run through an Instagram filter. Looks like Perpetua. A lot of yellows, a lot of blues. Everything's in thirds. We get it. But I just feel like it's very strong visually, beautiful visually. If you're an Anderson fan, go see it just so I can hear your thoughts on it. I mean, are the visuals enough to cover up for the kind of lack of plot? I can't. If that's what you like in your movie. Yeah, I walked into this movie like, exactly what the visuals are going to be, and you're excited to see how it plays out. But again, I found myself like really getting bored and being like, okay, the whole time you're just kind of waiting for something to happen. And at a point, it just looks like the movie is a parody of itself, and it's almost like it becomes the accidentally Wes Anderson Instagram, which this is a thing. I guess this was based on a Reddit thread, but it eventually grew into a 1.8 million follower Instagram account called accidentally Wes Anderson, where you can submit pictures that are in the classic style, and I guess they will throw them up on this account. It's visually satisfying. Everything's very centered. Okay, we get it. It's very quirky. You have to be very smart to understand this, I guess. Okay, I'm not logged into Instagram on this thing here. I just was left very confused by this film. We walked out of the theater and we heard these two guys. They looked to be about 19, 20 years old. And we heard them talking about the movie. And it sounded like each of them were trying to convince the other that they liked the movie. And I'm like, it's okay. It's okay to not like it and to not understand it. It felt like, you finally go to bed with the hot chick and she just lays there and nobody comes. That's what this movie felt like to me. Like, wow, it's so beautiful. There's so much hype. This is a famous, well-known person. And then you finally get going and, okay, it's beautiful, but nothing really happens. Nobody really gets there. And I'm looking at all these reviews. I'm like, am I just too stupid to understand this movie? Let me look at some of these reviews. Before I get to the reviews, this is a part of the movie that I actually really loved. This might have been one of my favorite parts. So they're in this diner. Everything's very yellow. Everything's very sepia toned. It's the classic Anderson style of like where the kids sort of act more like adults. They act more mature than they I guess really are, or just like very mature kids. So there's a scene in the diner where Schwartzman takes a photo of Scarlett Johansson, and Scarlett Johansson sitting with her daughter, who's I think she goes by the name Dinah. I don't know the actor's name. And he's like, "Oh, you didn't ask permission to take this photo." He's like, "I never asked permission. I'm a war photo, whatever." But there's this little moment where the two teenagers kind of like exchange glances, and I think that was probably the most real moment of the film where I actually like really felt something. I was like, "Oh, it's that sort of like young love feeling."
Sometimes I cover sporting events. My name is Augie Steamdeck.
Look at this. Look at them. Look at the little smile. And he looks away nervous. This is my favorite moment of the whole film. And she's just sort of
If it's any good, I guess I'll try to sell.
She doesn't look away, which tells me like maybe she's a year or two older. And this guy gets shy and nervous. It's such a tiny moment.
Sometimes I cover
And
sporting
maybe
events.
this is what people
My name is
love
Augustine
about
Beck.
Wes Anderson films. A cute moment. He's awkward.
What are you going to do with that?
Otherwise, there's no
That
kind of
picture.
real plot. I don't really know who to watch. I don't know who to care about in this film. Again, like, don't let the all-star cast distract from the fact that this is kind of about nothing. I'm going to read some of these reviews because there's a lot of cope in these reviews here. Let's pull up the... Okay, so here's the IMDb. They're supposed to compete in the junior stargazing. It's all very, like, it's wholesome looking. It's kind of simple, clean lines. Okay, Grace Edwards is who played Dinah. These girls are very cute. There's like 3 little girls, Pandora and Andromeda, and another little girl. I had a feeling that these 2 were twins, but they play like just quirky little, like they're always in costume, these little girls. And it was cute because I remember being like a little kid and wanting to be like in costume all the time. My parents were like, no, we're not buying you costumes. Okay. ScarJo is full frontal nude, if that helps you, convince you to go. Except she ended up having to direct it herself because Wes Anderson was too embarrassed to film it. Interesting. Okay. He probably just didn't want to get Me Too'd. It's hard out here for directors directing nude scenes. I guess if you're into movies that are like, it's okay. So this is a featured review. This movie, by the way, is getting like 7 out of 10 so far. Yeah, 7.1 out of 10 IMDb rating. Very generous, I think. Again, it's a lot of people going, "Oh, it's Wes Anderson," but people going, "Did anyone come? Did anyone understand what was happening?" Let's see. The peace symbol was not officially invented until February 1958, so it could not have been depicted at the 1955 Junior Stargazer Convention. Okay, here's the featured review. Enjoyable enough for Wes Anderson fans, but lacking in substance or impact. Okay, that's very generous. Few independent filmmakers have a style as unique and distinctive as Wes Anderson's. True. Whose signature aesthetic is almost immediately recognizable upon watching one of his films. Yet his films are not just aesthetically engaging, they tend to be hilarious. This was not hilarious. This was not funny at all. I kind of went, but I wouldn't say this was a funny movie. Maybe people who aren't funny will find this funny, but maybe I just have higher standards for humor. Yeah, I would say it's quirky. I wouldn't say it's hilarious. As a fan of his work, I was looking forward to Asteroid City, this retro sci-fi tale. There wasn't like a ton of science in this. If you're going into this movie looking for like to be very geeked out, you're going to be disappointed. I guess if they're considering it funny that at one point a little like black alien drops down and picks up the meteor for which this city is famous, he then goes away. I guess he inventories it, marks a number on it, and then later on in the film he like comes back and plops it down. The film is a true ensemble piece and it doesn't have a main character. No, it's distracting. It's I find the narrator, which is played by Bryan Cranston, to be also like pretty distracting and doesn't really fit in. This would be fine if the wide array of characters involved were more compellingly written. I agree with that. But the screenplay treats their motivations as simply second fiddle to style. Exactly. Style carries this movie. I wouldn't even say it carries this movie. I would say he relies on the style more so than having any type of substance. World building and more abstract themes. Thematically, the film also seems a bit inert. Yes, seeming to jump around in subtext without providing the plot context to justify it, including through the framing device of a play. Yeah, I think it's really weak plot-wise. There's really no plot. It's like, wow, it's beautiful, and look at this flashy cast, but again, like nothing really happens. So see it just to be upset. It would be my recommendation. Go see this movie and then be like, what the fuck? Brilliant craftsmanship on display. Yeah, I guess they built this whole set from scratch and they filmed it in Spain during the pandemic. So maybe that's why it came out fucking weird to me. Yet the lack of a comparatively developed plot or character motive. Yes, there's no character motivations. I didn't find myself caring about anybody. It's a bit jarring compared to his better films, such as Grand Budapest Hotel, Moonrise Kingdom, and Royal Tennenbaums, which I agree that these were 3 of his best. Fantastic Mr. Fox, because I like animals. Even the anthology structure in The French Dispatch felt more character-driven and authentic, and thus more conceptually. Yeah, there was more going on in The French Dispatch. It was like distracting and annoying, but at least I cared about like the kind of plot of the artist. Make no mistake, Anderson is and has always been a creative visionary. Yeah, but like if somebody other than Wes Anderson made this film, everyone would be in agreement that it sucked. But the fact that it's Wes Anderson is like, is that what it's come to? You become famous and then you can just phone it in? I guess that's what's happening here. His fans should generally have a good time while watching the film. It's just a little bit unfortunate that the film comes off as more hollow and forgettable than it should, despite plenty of positive qualities as well. Recommended only to Wes Anderson fans. Okay. I think you should make a film for everybody. Like, don't you want to make a film that turns someone into a Wes Anderson fan? It just seems lazy. He relied too much on the visuals. I want to read more of these reviews because there's so much cope going on in the reviews that it makes me laugh. Let's go here. Let's find. Oh, okay. My order is on the way. I want to look in the chat. Did any of you guys see this film? Am I just too dumb to understand the film? Is that what's going on here? Critical response. Rotten Tomatoes 74%. What? Average positive. Unlikely to win Wes Anderson many new converts. Oh, it says a signature style. So he's basically just coasting off the signature style. Great. But the style is so predictable at this point. The style is not enough to keep you engaged the whole time. Terrifically entertaining and lightly sophisticated. No, that's a fucking cope. That's a cope. It's something that smart people say to justify a bad movie. The movie rattles cleverly and exhilaratingly along. I don't even, these words, they're putting in a bunch of big words to make it seem better than it was. In droidingly absorbing the implication of pathos and lowliness without allowing itself to slow. Oh, it slowed down. It slowed down to a screeching halt at several points. It's tempting to consider this savant blankness as some kind of symptom, but I don't really think so. Ugh. John Nugent of Empire commended the film's unique visual narrative style writing. Anderson remains cinema's most astonishing stylist. The rigor and detail in every frame maybe pay a little bit of attention to the plot, maybe have a plot. It's occasionally a bit unfocused and always a bit indulgent. Ugh. Yeah, maybe he should hang it up after this one. It was bad. Wes Anderson might seem like someone who either refuses to read his own press or has bought into his press to an absurd degree. Again, it's like you've slept with a hot chick and she just lays there. That's what this film is. Fussy, top-heavy, narratively baddie, yet stretched-thin concoctions. What the fuck? Asteroid City looks smashing, but as a movie, it's for Anderson diehards only. Yeah, because those are going to be the only people to cope and say, oh, this was great. Yuck. This is like something that only should have been released at a quirky, small New York City theater, and everyone gently claps. But most people are like, it's bad. They wanted to originally shoot it in Rome, but they did it in Spain. Okay. I think it was boring. It's like like what I said before, a big, beautiful mess. Maybe the pandemic screwed things up, made this worse. Let's see, are these? I want. No, that's my Swarovski chat. I ordered something and I sent it to the wrong address. It was a birthday gift. Okay. I really want to find these reviews. Wes Anderson and Spielberg use sci-fi the same way. Social media keeps spoofing Wes Anderson. Here's why he's not watching. I really want to find these reviews. Yeah, it was so boring. I was disappointed because I wanted to see more from everybody. I wanted to see more from the characters. I really wanted to care about somebody in this movie. And instead, I just was left so confused. The visuals are strong, but they rely too heavily on that. It was confusing. We don't actually really see anything that's going on. There was no Owen Wilson in this film either. Let's see, maybe is this it? Is this it? Maybe I clicked off. Oh, this is it. Okay, here's all the coping in the reviews here. Let me start by saying I'm a massive fan of Wes Anderson, so my feelings about this movie are likely influenced. Okay, so that's it. I can stop reading this review because it's like, again, it's the hot chick. You're impressed by the hot chick. So your review is kind of meaningless. You're tainted. They struggled with it. People saying, "Oh, you're giving it 4 and 5 stars, but you're saying I struggled with it." Okay, sure. It's enjoyable. However, there's no comedy. There's nothing funny about this movie. I love this one from Chopper, Montana. Try not to let people who gave this movie less than 4 stars keep you from watching it. Isn't that the point of a review? Reading the negative reviews, they all complain they, quote, didn't get it. Well, that's not really the movie's fault then. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm too stupid to understand the great Wes Anderson. Give me a break. If you enjoy watching Wes Anderson films or work in and around theater or even have a passing interest in astronomy, you'll enjoy this film. Wrong. False. This is such a cope. The characters are developed well. No, they're not. And even though composed of a huge ensemble cast, everyone fits perfectly into their roles. There are more than a few laughs. No, there's no laughs. Yeah, exactly. Anyone who likes this, they're just hardcore fans of the hot chick. I like the author's background story. I felt it was unnecessary. I really like the alien part. Yeah, there's a quirky little like black alien who comes down. Ugh. There's so much cope here. I love the reviews, the 1-star reviews, because they're honest. And they're from real people, not like pretentious film folk. This is my favorite. This is my first movie review ever, but this movie was so bad I couldn't resist. This dumpster fire of a film suffers on innumerable points. Primarily, it has an identity crisis that distracts from itself. A split personality, if you will, 0 character development. The plot moves slower than molasses in December. It's almost entirely lacking in humor. I agree with this. And our entire group walked away with no discernible message or sense that anything was accomplished. 2 things kept me from walking out of the theater entirely. Yeah, God, this slowed to a crawl, especially around like, I don't know, after an hour and a half. The simple sense of wonder that something might actually happen. Yeah, I kept waiting for something to happen. And second, the pastel 1950s aesthetic was actually whimsical and fun to explore visually. Yeah, it was pretty to look at, but you get tired after a while. I feel the need to write this after skimming through the long list of scathing reviews. I thought Asteroid City was incredible. What the hell's wrong with you? Not only was it full of Wes Anderson shots and aesthetic, it was the most perfect story I've ever watched from it. What story? Characters are so specific, they feel real. He tackles existential questions. Not really. He doesn't really answer them. This movie just feels like a first draft to me. Extraterrestrial life confirmed, which only added to the manageable infinity of this movie. What a cope to say it was boring and it felt like it was never going to end. Manageable infinity. This is what smart people do to try to make a bad film sound good. The universe is endless. And so are we on the inside as people. This film was pure. I'm with Helen here. This was pure torture until I finally got up and walked out. But the instant relief was necessary. I've never done before, even in a bad movie. I was very bored. Not that I never want to walk out, but I was so bored. Another all-star cast, only to leave you disappointed. Don't waste your money. Couldn't figure out what what it was about, and then they had to sneak a man-on-man scene. Oh yeah, there was like a little bit of like gay kissing at one point, which I didn't understand and didn't make sense, and there was no context for. The insult to human intelligence anymore is just appalling. The alien stealing the asteroid was as good as it gets, and then the pictures mirroring each other of the alien and Scarlett were somewhat funny, but the longer I sat there, the more ignorant I felt for continuing to remain in the theater upon realization that this was an all-star flop within minutes. On the way out of the theater, I asked for a refund for intentional disappointment by, quote, all stars. I will never trust again, although Scarlett has never impressed nor Edward Norton nor Steve Carell. So no shock surprise there. Hanks is hit and miss, but the movie was a last chance for any of them. Wow, this woman has completely written off not only Anderson, but all of the actors involved. Obviously, I am not in the slightest bit curious about missing anything I happily left behind. I am only here because I had to warn others of the torture, and two, curious if others were equally or more tormented than myself. Fantastic. 2 plots. No, what were the 2 plots, Davey? Ugh. If you have no sense of humor, you'll find this movie funny. This is one of the stupidest movies I think I've ever seen. So much read the reviews from the real people. So much talent wasted. You know, these great actors looked me straight in the face and promised something entertaining was going to happen. And I trusted them, and I waited, and nothing. They spoke in quick, snappy sentences in an attempt to appear clever. The little girls were interesting, but they only had a few lines. The alien was interesting, but gone in a flash. A running joke about a kid who wanted to push his boundaries, kind of interesting, but they never developed into anything. Exactly. It's never developed into anything. And the whole premise was doomed from the start. A playwright commenting on his play, and then was it the play or real life? Yeah, I never knew if it was a play rehearsal or like an in-between scene or the actual play. It was confusing. And I swear it appeared as if they were trying to make all these great actors, Bryan Cranston, Tom Hanks, Edward Norton, Matt Dillon, Steve Carell, name a few, have to say drab, going nowhere dialogue. And Margot Robbie just appeared in one very quick scene where she was the mom that died, that the Jason Schwartzman character didn't want to break it to his kids that the mom died, so he waited like 2-3 weeks. I paid for someone else too, so that's 2 admits you owe me. I had to give a 1-star post. That's the only reason you're not getting 0 stars. Wow. Maybe you have to be an actor or more sophisticated or something to get this movie, to enjoy this movie. Is that how they want you to feel? Is that the goal? The storyline was hard to follow, confusing, choppy. Other reviewers say subplots were subtle. I found my attention wandering multiple times and even momentarily dozing, although I went into the theater with heightened anticipation for the film. My wife thought it was terrible. She left a few times. We watched the whole movie. I left feeling I bought the Brooklyn Bridge or a bag of apples with spoiled centers. Disappointed that the aforementioned actors would sign on to this movie because it's Wes Anderson. Of course, it's the hot chick. Everyone wants to be with the hot chick. In the future, I will not make the assumption that they are in a movie will be good. Visual mastery is clearly on full display. Yeah, but it's like that's all he cared about. No one gives a good or remotely memorable performance. Yeah, it seems like Steve Carell's character too is just being sarcastic. Let's read one from someone who really loved it. Thinkers. Oh, guys. Oh, sorry. If you didn't like this, you're not a thinker. You must be brain dead. Thinkers, wanderers, and joyful feelers will get and be enthralled by yet their favorite Wes Anderson movie. This woman, Tracy, she definitely lives alone with cats. People who just want to see things blow up might even like it. But entitled stupid media eaters who want to sit back and stuff their faces with candy and popcorn and drink their giant Cokes and be spoon-fed their entertainment won't get it. And that's fine. This bad movie is just for us smart people. More for us. Oh my God, this woman is like a cartoon. More for us. It may have even been designed that way. Wes Anderson movies just get better and better as the cast grows. Yeah, sure. Why don't you have 200 people next time? This movie left me with a sense of excitement for each individual's desire and differentiation on how they want to accomplish their own lives and express themselves to others, and the richness of the world we live in around us all. Life goes by fast. Be weird, be smart, be open, be different, be creative, be involved, figure things out, take opportunity when it comes, and last but not least, love each other. Tracy, I hope you die in a fire. But an artistic fire that's difficult to understand, that only smart people will get. Enjoyable. You guys are retarded for thinking this is good. Let's read another bad review. This movie was bad for three main reasons. Reason one, the movie sacrifices interesting storytelling for the sake of artistic appeal. Bingo. Reason two, the meaning of the movie is that there is no meaning in the movie and that there's just no meaning in life, which I hate. I don't like the kind of there are several characters in this movie that are atheists or make a point of saying they don't believe in God. Like, I think just to seem cool. And there's nothing, I don't know, to me, being atheist is like not cool anymore. I think it was cool like in the 90s and maybe the early aughts. And it's like, okay, we need God in our lives. All right. Especially now. The theme of meaningless is apparent in many scenes, such as the kid who's always asking, do you dare me? Yeah, there's this kid who's like, do you dare me to jump off this roof? Do you dare me? And it's like, it's stupid. To the scene at the end where the actor in the play is asking what the character means and how it's supposed to act. This is not only lazy philosophy and self-contradicting, it's also boring because the climax of the movie is finding out the whole movie is an advertisement for nihilism. Yes, which I find so tiresome. Reason three, it is a pain to sit through. The utter lack of coherent meaning in the movie makes it super boring to watch. Yes, I agree with Riley 1,000%. As aforementioned, the movie is intended to be meaningless, but because of that, there's no reason to watch it to begin with. Meaningless is just not appealing in a movie. We watch movies because they mean something deep that's inexpressible in other mediums. Stories are incredibly important because they teach us how to act and what morals are right and wrong. But a movie without any meaning is like a car with no gas or an invisible shirt. Yeah, it's like a beautiful car that doesn't work. It doesn't go anywhere. The inside is empty. Yeah. I think I've made my point here. It was depressing. It was stupid. Let me go through the comments here. Let me see if any of you guys have seen this. Atheists love this movie. True. Being an atheist, I'm sorry, in 2023, it's not cool to be an atheist anymore. It's boring. Yeah, it's a little cringe. He's gonna have to really come back with something juicy and meaty. Exactly. AI could easily replace Wes Anderson. If all you have are your visuals, which are at this point anybody can recreate and do and are so predictable, and you have a great cast, okay, but like what the hell's happening? I don't know. Thank you. I used a new texturizing spray on my hair this morning. Yeah. Okay. Well, see this movie just to complain about it. Sometimes it's fun to see bad movies and then complain about them. But you know, you're gonna see it because it's Wes Anderson. But like, don't let these artistic fags convince you that it's good just because they want you to think they're smarter than you, or just because it's by a famous director. See it, hate it. Comment below if you feel the same, and we